Welcome to Zoe Stories. Wife turned me into a bimbo. The morning started like any other. Coffee brewing, rain tracing slow lines down the kitchen window, but underneath the hum of routine, something between us had shifted. I used to think I understood my wife completely. Sophia was brilliant, confident, and always one step ahead of everyone, including me. She ran her own design studio while I, Ethan, worked long hours as an analyst. Numbers, logic, predictability. We balanced each other perfectly, or so I thought. Lately, Sophia had been watching me differently. Not with the warmth I remembered, but with a quiet curiosity, as if she saw something in me that I hadn't yet noticed myself. Her compliments were strange too. Less about what I did and more about what I could become. "You hide behind your spreadsheets," she'd said one night. "Don't you ever wonder what it would be like to stop controlling everything?" At first, I laughed it off. I loved her boldness, her unpredictability, but that comment lingered. Sophia had a way of planting ideas in my head like seeds that grew in the dark. Our marriage wasn't failing, not exactly, but it was evolving into something uncharted. She had taken over decorating our apartment in soft tones of blush and ivory, a space that smelled faintly of her perfume. I didn't mind, though sometimes it felt less like our home and more like her stage. I told myself that was fine. Relationships need compromise. Yet lately, compromise felt one-sided. One Friday evening, Sophia suggested we play a new experiment. She said it with a mischievous smile that I knew all too well, the kind that always ended with me saying yes before I knew what I was agreeing to. "Let's switch things up," she said. "You trust me, right?" I nodded. Of course I trusted her. But when she laid out the rules, no questions, full honesty, 1 week of doing everything her way, I hesitated. "It's just a game," she teased, tracing her finger along my jaw. "A chance for you to relax. To let go." There was something hypnotic about her tone. I agreed, convincing myself it was harmless, maybe even good for us. I didn't realize then that this game would become the turning point of everything that followed. Saturday morning, Sophia woke before dawn. When I stumbled into the kitchen half asleep, she was already waiting, with a sleek black box on the table. "For you," she said, eyes sparkling. "Part of the experiment." Inside were unfamiliar objects, skincare, hair products, things I didn't recognize. Beneath them lay something folded and pink. "Sophia." I started, confused. She smiled knowingly. "Don't panic. Just trust me. Today is about perception. About seeing yourself differently." Her voice was calm but firm, a tone she used when she expected obedience. Against my better judgment, I nodded. She led me to the mirror, hands gentle but commanding as she explained each step. Foundation. Lip gloss. Mascara. It felt surreal, watching her glide color across my skin with an artist's precision. At first, I laughed nervously. "You're serious about this, huh?" "Completely," she said. "You're always so afraid of what people might think. I want you to feel what it's like to be seen differently." There was no malice in her words, only an intensity that unsettled me. Somewhere between the foundation and the wig she slipped onto my head, I stopped laughing. When I finally looked at myself in the mirror, I didn't see Ethan. I saw someone softer. Someone almost beautiful. And behind me, Sophia's reflection smiled, not mockingly, but with quiet satisfaction. "Now," she whispered, "say hello to her." The rest of the day blurred between embarrassment and strange fascination. Sophia seemed delighted, guiding me through posture lessons, the way to tilt my head, how to walk with smaller steps. She wasn't cruel. She was meticulous. And yet, the more she pushed, the more I caught glimpses of something deeper in her eyes. An experimenter studying her subject. That night, when I caught my reflection in the mirror before bed, I couldn't shake the feeling that the game had crossed a line. But Sophia's words echoed softly. "You might surprise yourself." And she was right. The surprise wasn't just hers. That's how it began. The week that would unravel everything I thought I knew about control, identity, and my marriage. I didn't realize then how far she would take it, or how much of Ethan would disappear in the process. The next morning, sunlight slipped through the curtains in pale ribbons. Sophia was already awake, sitting at the edge of the bed with a notebook balanced on her knees. The faint scent of her perfume filled the room. I blinked sleepily, half hoping yesterday's experiment had been a dream. Good morning, Ethan, she said, her tone businesslike. Or should I say, not quite Ethan anymore. I groaned. You're still going with this? Of course. You agreed to a week. A promise is a promise. She held up the notebook. These are the rules. There were 6, each written in looping handwriting. Do everything exactly as instructed, no complaining or breaking character. Keep an open mind. Speak only when spoken to about the experiment. Document how it makes you feel. Trust me. The 6th rule was underlined twice. You're serious, I muttered. Completely, she said. Now get up. We've got work to do. She guided me to the bathroom where the black box waited again, this time expanded with new contents. Foundation, bronzer, false lashes, even a curling iron. The mirror fogged with steam as she began another transformation. Think of this like character study, she said, brushing powder along my jawline. You analyze data all day. This is data about you. I tried to laugh, but it came out strangled. Sophia, people would think you've lost it. People don't matter. Perception does. Her focus never wavered. When she was done, she stepped back, arms folded. Now the outfit. From the closet she produced a silky robe, pale blush pink, followed by a fitted dress that shimmered faintly in the morning light. It looked expensive, fragile. Nothing like anything I'd ever worn. This feels ridiculous, I said. Good, she replied. Ridiculous is honest. It's what liberation looks like before it becomes confidence. By noon, I was standing in the living room, transformed again. Sophia circled me like an artist appraising a sculpture. I wanted to sink into the floor, but a strange calm settled in. Every rustle of the dress, every click of the heels, anchored me somewhere new. Then came the test. We're going out, she said casually. My stomach dropped. Out? Dressed like this? Relax. Just a short drive. Windows up. No one's going to see you. I should have said no. But her voice, her confidence, it was impossible to refuse. So I followed her out to the car, heart hammering as she drove through the suburbs. Every stoplight felt like exposure. Every passing car a potential disaster. Breathe, she said softly. Do you feel it? The adrenaline? That's fear giving way to freedom. I didn't answer. My palms were slick against my knees. And yet, beneath the panic, there was a flicker of something else. Exhilaration. She parked outside a quiet cafe. My pulse spiked again. No way, I said. I'm not getting out. I didn't ask you to, she replied, smirking. I just want you to see yourself like this, in the reflection of something other than a mirror. Through the car window, I caught my reflection in the cafe's glass door. Soft curls, subtle makeup, the faint glimmer of gloss on my lips. For a fleeting second, I didn't see a disguise. I saw possibility. It's strange, I admitted quietly. I don't recognize myself, but I don't hate it. Sophia smiled, that analytical glint in her eyes again. That's exactly what I hoped you'd say. Back home, she poured 2 glasses of wine though it was barely noon. To honesty, she said, clinking her glass against mine. You've spent years hiding behind logic. Let's see what happens when you stop. Her words burned almost as much as the wine. I wanted to argue, to remind her that I wasn't hiding anything. But deep down, I wasn't sure anymore. Maybe she saw something I couldn't. Later, when she left to take a phone call, I found myself wandering to the mirror again. The makeup had smudged slightly, the wig sat askew, but the reflection still held me captive. The longer I stared, the less I saw Ethan the analyst, and the more I saw someone free of expectation. Then I heard Sophia's voice behind me, soft but deliberate. Be careful, she said. The mirror shows more than you think. Her reflection appeared beside mine, close enough that our shoulders touched. I looked away first. That night as I lay in bed, she rested her head on my chest and whispered, "Tomorrow we'll push a little further." A knot tightened in my stomach. Part of me wanted to run, to end the game before it went too far. But another part, one I barely understood, wanted to see how far the experiment could go. When she drifted off to sleep, I stared at the ceiling, the rules still echoing in my head. Trust me. For the first time, I wasn't sure whether she was studying me or transforming me. And worse, I wasn't sure I wanted her to stop. The next morning, I woke up to find my usual clothes missing. No jeans, no shirts. Nothing. Only a neat stack of folded garments sat on the dresser. Soft leggings, a cream sweater, delicate underthings that weren't mine. Sophia was sitting by the window, sipping her coffee like nothing was unusual. "Morning," she said without looking up. "Today we test consistency." I rubbed my temples. What does that mean? It means maintaining the illusion until it feels natural. You can't keep changing back and forth, it breaks the study. I frowned. So I'm supposed to stay like this all day? Not supposed to. Required to. Remember Rule 1. Her tone was calm, but firm, the kind of tone she used when instructing research interns. Only now I was the subject. Reluctantly, I dressed. The fabric clung to me in unfamiliar ways, every movement strange, every reflection foreign. Sophia watched quietly, jotting notes in her book. "How do you feel?" she asked. I hesitated. Vulnerable. Good. Vulnerability is data. I wanted to laugh it off, but there was something sharp beneath her words, like she wasn't just observing me. She was training me. She approached, adjusting the neckline of my sweater, her fingers lingering for a second too long. "Better," she said softly. "Now, I want you to use this name today." She handed me a small card. Written on it in cursive. Elena. My breath caught. "You're kidding. You said you'd trust me." "But that's what makes it interesting," she interrupted. "The mind can't separate identity from habit. If you act as Elena long enough, your subconscious will follow." Her words settled deep, heavy as stone. And yet, something inside me tingled, a mix of fear and curiosity. The day unfolded in strange rhythm. She asked me to make lunch, answer her messages, even call her work associate to confirm an appointment. When I hesitated at introducing myself, she reminded me. "Elena. Remember." So I said it. "This is Elena." The name felt foreign, yet when I heard it aloud, it didn't sound wrong. It sounded lighter. After the call, Sophia gave a small, knowing smile. "See? That wasn't so hard." But it was. Because every time she said it, Elena, it chipped away at something I thought was unshakable. That evening, she dimmed the lights and pulled me toward the full-length mirror again. "Look," she said. The reflection staring back was poised, calm, graceful even. Not Ethan pretending. Elena existing. "What do you see?" she asked. I tried to answer, but my throat tightened. I didn't know anymore. She smiled faintly. "That's good. The uncertainty means it's working." "Working?" "Sophia, what are you trying to do?" "Show you what's beneath the layers you built to survive," she said simply. "Every choice you made, your job, your logic, your control, it was armor. I'm just taking it off." Her words cut deeper than she realized. Maybe because, for the first time, I couldn't deny them. That night, she suggested a new ritual. Writing in a self-observation journal. Each page began with the prompt. "Today, Elena felt." The first few entries were hesitant. "Today, Elena felt embarrassed." "Today, Elena felt trapped." But slowly, the tone shifted. "Today, Elena felt confident." "Today, Elena felt free." I didn't notice the change until Sophia pointed it out. "You're using her name like it's your own," she said, showing me the pages. I looked down, heat rushing to my cheeks. "It's just habit." "Or truth," she murmured. By the fourth day, she introduced confidence training. She guided me through posture, voice modulation, walking in heels, every exercise designed to erase hesitation. "This isn't about femininity," she explained. "It's about control. If you can control how you're perceived, you control how you're treated." It made sense in theory. But somewhere between practice and performance, the line blurred. I caught myself one afternoon humming while brushing on a bit of gloss, not even realizing what I was doing until Sophia appeared in the doorway, watching. "You're adapting faster than I expected," she said quietly. "I'm not," I started, but the denial felt hollow. Later, as we sat in silence, she reached out and touched my wrist gently. "You don't have to fight it, you know. Maybe this version of you was always waiting." Something inside me trembled. For the first time, I wasn't sure if I wanted the experiment to end. That night, I dreamed of my reflection again. But this time, the mirror didn't show Ethan or Elena. It showed someone new. Someone smiling. By the 5th day, the boundaries between experiment and reality had completely dissolved. I woke up not to an alarm clock, but to Sophia's voice. Calm, measured, commanding. Good morning, Elena. Time for your observation session. She spoke my new name so naturally now that hearing Ethan felt wrong. Almost forgotten. When I sat up, I noticed something different. My reflection in the vanity mirror wasn't an echo of disguise anymore. My hair had been styled into loose curls while I slept, the faint scent of jasmine oil clinging to the air. I turned sharply. Did you touch my hair? Relax, she said, pouring tea. It's part of conditioning. Subconscious reinforcement through sensory cues. Conditioning. I repeated, my voice rising. You agreed to trust me, remember? She replied evenly. Besides, don't you like how it looks? I caught sight of myself again and faltered. It did look good, too good. But I didn't answer. That morning session took a new turn. Instead of posture drills or makeup lessons, Sophia sat me down with a blank notebook. Write a full day in the life of Elena, she instructed. From waking up to going to bed. Every thought, every feeling. I hesitated. Sophia, this is going too far. You're making me live as someone who isn't. Isn't you? She interrupted. How can you be so sure? She leaned in close, her perfume wrapping around me like a spell. Every time you resist, you sound less like Ethan defending himself and more like Elena afraid to disappear. Her words made my stomach twist. Still I wrote. Because a part of me wanted to see what she saw. And when I finished, the pages didn't sound like fiction. They sounded like confession. That evening, Sophia brought out something new. A small box tied with a satin ribbon. For progress, she said, placing it in my hands. Inside was a shimmering red dress. Tight, elegant, undeniably feminine. I can't wear this, I said. You can. You will. Tonight is your first real-world test. Real world. Dinner. Public exposure. Nothing extreme, just stepping outside the lab. My pulse raced. Sophia, I'm not ready. What if someone recognizes me? No one will. You're Elena now. Her tone was final. And somehow, I found myself standing before the mirror minutes later, the red fabric hugging every contour I had tried to hide. When we arrived at the restaurant, I could barely breathe. Every sound, every glance felt amplified, the soft click of my heels, the weight of eyes that might see through me. But Sophia was calm, graceful, untouchable. Head up, she whispered. Confidence isn't about hiding. It's about daring others to believe your truth. Her words steadied me. As we walked in, I noticed something unexpected. No one stared. No one pointed. The waiter even smiled and said, "Good evening, ladies." And that was when the ground beneath me shifted. For a moment, Elena wasn't pretending. She was existing. Over dinner, Sophia studied me carefully. How does it feel, she asked, to be seen this way? I hesitated. Liberating, I admitted quietly. That's honesty, she said, smiling. Progress. But beneath that smile, something darker flickered. You see now why you can't go back. The illusion would shatter if you tried to return to Ethan. People would sense it. You'd feel it. I frowned. What do you mean, can't go back? The brain adapts faster than you think. You're already associating comfort and confidence with this identity. Undoing it would feel like tearing your own skin. Her voice was calm, but her eyes burned with intensity. I realized then, she wasn't observing anymore. She was creating. That night, I confronted her. Sophia, this isn't an experiment anymore, I said, pacing. You're manipulating me. I'm guiding you, she replied coolly. You were the one who wanted to understand vulnerability. I just showed you where it leads. I shook my head. You went too far. You took control of my life, my body, my mind. And gave you freedom, she cut in sharply. Tell me, Ethan, when was the last time you felt alive before this? Her words hit like a slap. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. Because deep down, I knew she was right. Later that night, I sat alone in front of the mirror again. No makeup, no lights, just me. Or was it her? I touched my reflection, half expecting it to feel cold, foreign. But it didn't. In the stillness, I heard Sophia's voice from earlier. If you act as Elena long enough, your subconscious will follow. Maybe it already had. For the first time, I didn't recognize where Ethan ended and Elena began. The morning after that dinner, I woke up to the faint hum of soft music and the aroma of perfume drifting through the room. It wasn't my playlist. It wasn't my scent. It was hers. I sat up, groggy, disoriented, and froze. My old clothes were gone. Every masculine trace of my life had vanished from the wardrobe. In their place hung dresses, skirts, delicate tops, and a row of heels lined like soldiers waiting for inspection. Sophia! I called, my voice shaky. She appeared a moment later, composed as ever, holding a cup of coffee. Good morning, Elena. I felt a flash of irritation. Stop calling me that. She tilted her head. Why? It suits you. And besides, no one else calls you Ethan anymore. I frowned. What does that mean? I filed your experiment results under the name Elena Brooks. Your digital ID, the research logs. Everything reflects the subject's new identity. My chest tightened. You did what? Relax. It's temporary, she said with a sly smile. Unless you prefer it permanent. There was something hypnotic in the way she said it. Something that made my anger falter. Just for a second. That day's training blurred the line between participation and submission. Sophia had shifted from observation to instruction. She taught me how to move, how to speak softly, how to smile at just the right moment. Every movement had a purpose. Every mistake earned a correction. Don't slouch. You're hiding from yourself, she'd murmur, adjusting my shoulders from behind. Look at me, she'd whisper, lifting my chin with her fingertips. Confidence begins here. I wanted to resist, to tell her that this wasn't me. But every time I tried, she'd tilt her head and give that quiet, knowing smile. You're fighting a war you've already lost, she'd say. Your body language tells the truth your words can't. And maybe she was right. Because every time I looked in the mirror now, I didn't see disguise. I saw habit. Later that afternoon, she brought me to a full-length mirror and told me to close my eyes. Describe yourself, she said. I hesitated. Ethan Brooks, 29. Research analyst. Married. Wrong, she interrupted. Try again. I swallowed. Elena Brooks, 25. Confident. Curious. Better, she whispered, circling behind me. Now open your eyes. When I did, she placed a delicate gold chain around my neck, its pendant shaped like a small key. A reward, she said softly. For embracing truth. The key gleamed against my collarbone, beautiful, fragile, and suddenly heavy. Days turned into a blur. Sophia started taking photos. Hundreds of them. For documentation, she claimed. But soon, they filled every frame on the walls. And somewhere in that haze of lights, makeup, and repetition, Ethan began to fade. I caught glimpses of myself sometimes. Quick flashes when I brushed my teeth or passed a dark window. My reflection smiled when I wasn't. It stood taller when I slumped. The more I resisted, the more it felt like resistance was futile. And Sophia? She watched it all unfold with eerie satisfaction. You see, she said one evening, brushing a curl from my face, transformation isn't physical. It's psychological. Once the mind accepts the illusion, it becomes reality. Is that what you've been doing to me? I asked quietly. Changing my mind? No, she whispered, just revealing who was always hiding underneath. That night, something inside me broke. I went searching, through her drawers, her notes, her laptop. Anything that could prove this was still an experiment. I found the files. Dozens of entries labeled Phase 1 to 4, tracking my speech patterns, posture, hormonal responses. But what froze me was the last entry. Subject exhibiting identity assimilation. Transition nearly complete. Final phase. Reinforcement and dependency. I stared at the words, heart pounding. Dependency. When I turned, Sophia was standing in the doorway, watching me. You weren't supposed to see that, she said calmly. You're controlling me, I shouted. You've been conditioning me like some lab rat. She sighed, almost pitying. Conditioning? She repeated softly. No. Ethan. I've been freeing you. You were the one pretending before. The suit, the tie, the dullness, that was your disguise. This, she gestured toward me, is honesty. I'm not your creation, I said, voice trembling. Aren't you? She whispered. You wear what I choose. You speak how I taught you. You feel what I designed you to feel. Her tone wasn't cruel. It was certain. And the worst part? I couldn't find the words to deny her. That night, I tried to sleep. I couldn't. Every sound felt louder, the hum of the lights, the ticking of the clock, my own heartbeat. In the mirror across the room, Elena stared back at me, calm, perfect, serene. But I wasn't calm. I was trapped. I picked up the pendant key and clutched it tight. Maybe it would unlock something. Maybe it was symbolic of freedom. But as I stared at it under the dim light, I realized something chilling. The key wasn't meant to unlock a door. It was meant to remind me that she held the lock. Rain lashed against the glass that night, a rhythmic drumming that filled the silence between us. Sophia sat at the edge of the couch, her posture graceful, almost statuesque, while I stood near the window, arms crossed, staring into the storm. It had been days since I'd found those files, the reports that reduced me to a subject, the logs that charted my descent from husband to project. And yet, I hadn't confronted her. Not properly. Until now. I turned to her, my voice low, trembling. How long, Sophia? How long have you been planning this? She didn't look surprised. Only patient. Since the day you started lying to yourself, she said softly. I clenched my fists. You mean since I trusted you? No, Ethan, she said, standing up slowly. Since you started pretending to be a man you never were. You think I didn't notice? The way you stared too long at the mirror. The way you hesitated when I complimented you. You were begging to be seen. I simply gave you what you wanted. Her calmness was infuriating. You took everything from me, I snapped. My job, my name, my identity. I gave you a new one, she interrupted, her tone cutting but quiet. Elena isn't a mask, she's freedom. I stepped closer, eyes burning. Freedom doesn't come with rules and cameras and control. For the first time, her mask cracked. Control? She repeated, voice sharp. You think I enjoyed watching you fight yourself? Every step, every doubt, it was painful. But necessary. The words hung between us. Heavy, dangerous. I could feel something changing in the air. Like a storm building not outside, but within. She walked over to the mirror, the same one she'd made me practice in for weeks. Our reflections stood side by side, her poised and elegant, me, somewhere between two worlds. Look, she said quietly. Tell me what you see. I stared. My hair was longer now, my features softer, my posture altered beyond recognition. But behind the appearance, I could still see him. The version of me I thought I'd lost. I see someone you built, I said. No, she whispered, stepping closer. You built her. You just needed permission to stop being afraid. I didn't ask for this, I said, voice breaking. No, she said. You needed it. Something in me snapped. I grabbed the edge of the vanity, breathing hard. You don't get to define who I am anymore. Sophia's expression softened. Not in pity, but recognition. Then show me, she said. Show me who you are. I didn't understand at first. But then she reached into the drawer and pulled out a small box. Inside was the same pendant key she'd given me earlier. Only now it hung from a tag engraved with a single word. Final. This, she said, placing it on the table, is your choice. Walk away from everything. Start again as Ethan. Or stay and finish what we began. The world went quiet. I looked between her and the pendant, the key that had once symbolized control. Now, it symbolized something else. Surrender. My heart pounded in my chest. The rain outside grew louder, matching the chaos in my mind. You're saying if I leave, I can go back to my old life? I asked. Yes, she said. No more makeup. No more roles. No more Elena. But if you stay, She trailed off, her voice soft, almost reverent. If you stay, then you stop pretending forever. You live as who you've become. No shame, no fear. I took a shaky breath. And if I choose to leave? Then you never come back, she said simply. To me. To this house. To her. I stared at her, searching for some sign of hesitation. There was none. It should have been easy, to walk away, to reclaim my name, to forget this nightmare. But why did the thought of leaving feel hollow? Behind me, the mirror reflected two versions of the same person. One terrified, one calm. And somewhere between the reflection and reality, a truth whispered, "You've already changed." Sophia saw it too. Her eyes softened, voice trembling for the first time. "Ethan, I never meant to break you," she said. "I just wanted you to see that maybe you were never broken to begin with." For a second, I believed her. Then the lights flickered, a surge of electricity that plunged the room into shadow. Thunder cracked. When the lights returned, Sophia was gone. Only the pendant remained, gleaming faintly on the vanity. I reached for it slowly. My reflection met my eyes again, but this time there was no fear. Only silence. Was this freedom? Or the final step in her plan? As I touched the pendant, the faint sound of her voice echoed from somewhere. Maybe memory, maybe a recording. The final transformation is always chosen, never forced. I stood frozen, unsure if I was making a decision or falling into one. And then, a knock at the door. 3 soft taps. Familiar. My breath caught. "Ethan." It was Sophia's voice. But it came from outside. The knock at the door echoed again, louder this time, vibrating through the walls like a challenge. My hands shook as I hesitated, staring at the pendant on the vanity. It gleamed faintly, almost daring me to act. "Ethan." Sophia's voice came again, soft but insistent. I swallowed, anger and fear coiling in my chest. This was it, the moment where pretense and reality collided. I opened the door slowly, and there she stood, dripping from the rain, eyes sharp and unyielding. The calm, composed woman I'd known all these days now radiated something raw, almost predatory. "Why are you here?" I demanded, voice cracking. "After everything, why?" "Because," she said evenly, stepping inside without waiting, "you need to face what you've become and why." Her gaze swept over me, assessing, judging, almost daring me to deny the truth in her eyes. "I trusted you," I whispered. "I trusted you with everything. And you turned my life upside down. Made me into someone I barely recognize. And yet," she said quietly, "you stand here wearing her. Elena. You feel it too, don't you?" I gritted my teeth. "I hate it. I hate that I can't just go back." Her eyes softened slightly, but her tone remained firm. "Hate it or not, the change is already part of you. And hiding from it? That's the only thing that hurts." I took a step toward her, fists clenched. "Do you even understand what you've done? You've taken my life, my name, my identity, my dignity, and turned it into a joke. All for your experiment." She flinched, just slightly at my words. For the first time, I saw hesitation, vulnerability behind her composure. "It wasn't a joke," she said softly. "I saw you lost. Pretending, hiding, suffocating. I gave you permission to be seen." "Seen?" I shouted. "I've been humiliated, manipulated, trapped. Every day, I've been acting for you, following your rules, and now you tell me it's about freedom." She stepped closer, rainwater dripping from her hair onto the floor. "Freedom isn't always easy. Sometimes it's terrifying. Sometimes you have to face yourself in a way that hurts." "You don't get it," I screamed. "You can't just decide who I am, who I become." Her voice dropped, gentle but unwavering. "I didn't decide. You chose it every day, every mirror, every step. You're not a victim, Ethan. You're participating in your own awakening." A wave of anger and disbelief crashed over me. I wanted to shout, to run, to smash everything in sight. But the truth was undeniable. I had changed. And it frightened me more than anything Sophia had ever done. I sank to my knees, burying my face in my hands. "I don't know who I am anymore," I whispered, the words barely audible. Elena, she said softly, sitting beside me. And Ethan. Both of you are real. Both of you deserve to exist. I looked up, confusion mixing with fear. How can you say that? I feel torn apart. I don't recognize myself. I can't. Yes, you can, she interrupted. You've been fighting against yourself. Every time you resisted, you fed the fear, the shame. But look at you now. Even in fear, you're standing. Even in doubt, you exist. And that's strength. Her words pressed into me, a paradox of comfort and accusation. The truth I had tried to bury clawed its way to the surface. You made me feel alive and powerless, I admitted, voice trembling. And I hate that I can't hate you for it. She reached out, gently brushing my cheek. Because some part of you knows it was necessary. That all of this, is part of who you are becoming. And the rest? We'll face together. I shook my head violently. I can't just accept this. Then fight, she said softly, leaning closer. But fight honestly. Fight with eyes open. Not pretending you're something you're not. Because pretending is what got you here in the first place. The room was silent except for the sound of the rain, the pulse of my heartbeat, and the faint glimmer of the pendant on the vanity. I stared at it and at Sophia, and realized something terrifying and exhilarating. The choice was mine. You've pushed me to my edge, I said finally, voice low. And now I have to decide whether I let you break me, or whether I let myself become. Her eyes met mine, unwavering. Elena. Or whatever you choose to be. But don't lie to yourself anymore. A single flash of lightning illuminated the room, casting long shadows over the two of us. For the first time, I felt the weight of my own identity pressing down. Fragile, shifting, and uncertain. And then the knock came again. Ethan. Elena. Are you okay in there? It was not Sophia. Someone else. My pulse raced. My thoughts scattered. Every instinct screamed that the fragile world I'd been living in, between who I was and who I'd become, was about to shatter completely. I reached for the pendant, my fingers brushing the smooth metal. It's time, Sophia whispered, barely audible. Decide. Now. And in that moment, I realized there was no going back. The knock at the door repeated. Insistent, urgent. Each tap seemed to echo the pounding of my own heart. I froze, hand hovering over the pendant. Sophia's presence beside me was calm, almost patient, but her eyes burned with an intensity one couldn't ignore. It's your choice, Elena. Ethan, she said softly. Decide who you are before someone else does it for you. I took a shaky breath, turning toward the mirror. My reflection stared back. No longer a stranger, yet not fully me. The features were softer, the movements more poised, the very essence of me stretched across two identities. The rain outside had slowed to a drizzle, but the tension inside the room thickened, suffocating. Every instinct screamed to run, to reclaim the life I thought was mine. Yet another part whispered a dangerous truth. I had already changed. You can't run from yourself, Sophia murmured. I closed my eyes, trying to block the storm of emotions. Shame, fear, anger, confusion, and a strange, reluctant curiosity. The knock came again, this time louder, more desperate. I realized it wasn't Sophia calling. Someone else was here, someone from the outside world, unaware of the psychological labyrinth I was trapped in. Ethan? Are you in there? Everything okay? The voice pierced through my fog of uncertainty. It was normalcy, a reminder of the life I could return to, the life I had left behind. I glanced at Sophia. She didn't move. She only nodded slightly, her gaze steady. Go on, she said. Answer it. Face it. But don't lie to yourself. I swallowed, my throat tight. Every fiber of my being wanted to run, to slam the door, to escape back into the life of Ethan Brooks. And yet, the mirror reminded me of another truth. Elena existed now, not fully separate, not fully a mask. She was real. I can't just pretend anymore, I whispered. Sophia's eyes softened. Good. Now decide. Who do you choose to be? I looked back at the pendant on the vanity. It gleamed faintly, the final symbol of choice. Holding it meant acknowledging control. Not Sophia's, not the world's, but my own. The knock came again, urgent, impatient. The outside world demanded attention, demanded I reclaim who I thought I was. I reached for the pendant. My fingers wrapped around the smooth metal, and I felt the weight of every decision I'd made over the past days, weeks, the hours spent molding my posture, learning the cadence of Elena's voice, the careful way I had moved through spaces that no longer felt neutral but charged with psychological tension. I could leave, drop the pendant, open the door, and step back into Ethan's world. It would be safe, familiar, predictable. But my reflection in the mirror stopped me. Elena's eyes stared back, calm, unafraid, challenging me to confront the reality I'd been avoiding. "You've already changed," the reflection whispered silently. "You can't go back." My hands trembled. Sophia's soft hand touched my shoulder. "Then step forward," she said. "Embrace what you've become. Not for me. For yourself." I exhaled sharply, heart pounding. For a moment, time seemed to freeze. The knock persisted, the rain tapped against the windows, and the pendant gleamed under the faint light. I realized that standing there, caught between two selves, I had already made countless small choices that had led to this moment. Every hesitation, every compliance, every act of defiance, they all converged here. I closed my eyes, breathing deeply. I thought of the freedom Sophia had promised, the honesty she claimed I had been denying myself. I thought of the weight of pretending, of fighting, of hiding from parts of me I had never allowed to exist. And then I opened my eyes. "I choose me," I said quietly, steadily, voice clear. "All of me." Sophia smiled, a real, genuine smile, without calculation. "Good," she said. "Now step into your life. Fully. No shame. No lies." I picked up the pendant and fastened it around my neck. The metal felt warm, almost alive, as though acknowledging my decision. The knock at the door stopped. Silence fell. I turned back to the mirror. Elena's eyes were mine, yet they carried something entirely new. Acceptance. Strength. Identity. Sophia stepped back, letting me breathe. "You see," she whispered. "The final choice isn't about me. It's about you. Always you." And for the first time, I believed her. But as the storm outside began to calm, a faint, almost imperceptible shadow flickered in the corner of the room. Something I hadn't noticed before. A new element, unseen, yet threatening. "Not everything is as it seems," Sophia murmured, her voice barely audible. "Even now, your journey isn't over." I felt a chill run down my spine. The pendant gleamed against my chest. My reflection smiled back. And deep down, I knew the suspense wasn't over. Not yet. The storm had passed, leaving the city drenched in an eerie reflective silence. Streetlights shimmered in puddles outside the window, casting fragmented reflections across the room. My chest heaved, the weight of my decision pressing on me like a living thing. I traced my fingers over the pendant around my neck. It glimmered faintly, reminding me that I had chosen. I had embraced both Ethan and Elena, fully without hiding. And yet, despite the clarity of that choice, a gnawing unease lingered. "You're certain?" Sophia's voice broke the quiet, soft but steady. I turned to her, eyes searching for reassurance. She smiled, but there was a flicker behind it, a hint that even she couldn't predict the ripple of consequences my decision would bring. "I am," I said firmly. "I accept myself, all of me. And I won't let anyone take that away." She stepped back, her expression unreadable. "Good. That's the first step. But remember, identity isn't static. It's a river. And rivers can shift unexpectedly." I felt a chill run down my spine. The words were cryptic, yet they struck a chord deep within me. Could my choice truly be the end? Or was it merely the beginning of a new struggle? One I hadn't yet imagined? The door creaked softly, almost imperceptibly. I froze. My instincts screamed, but curiosity drew me toward it. Slowly, cautiously, I approached. "Ethan?" a voice called from beyond. It wasn't Sophia. It wasn't Elena. It was a voice familiar yet distorted, a presence from a world I thought I had left behind. I hesitated, hand hovering over the doorknob. Every fiber of my being warned me, "Don't open it. Not yet." But the voice persisted, laced with urgency and familiarity. I know you're in there. You can't hide forever. My heart pounded. Could it be someone who had discovered Sophia's plan? Someone who might unravel everything I had just decided to accept about myself? I glanced at Sophia. Her eyes were calm, unreadable, but a subtle tension lingered in her posture. Do you trust them? She asked softly. I shook my head. I don't even know who it is. Then be careful, she said, stepping back. Every choice has consequences, and some doors, once opened, cannot be closed. I exhaled slowly, every nerve in my body on edge. The pendant around my neck seemed to thrum in resonance with my pulse. I was aware of every sensation. My hands trembling, my chest tightening, my mind racing through possibilities, each more terrifying than the last. Finally, summoning courage, I opened the door a crack. No one was there. Only the hallway stretched empty, lit by the dim glow of a single lamp. I leaned forward, peering into the shadows. And then I saw it. A small, unmarked envelope lay on the floor, perfectly centered in the light. My name, both Ethan and Elena, was scrawled across it in elegant looping handwriting. I bent down and picked it up, my fingers brushing the paper. The weight of it felt heavier than the pendant. Slowly, carefully, I opened it. Inside, there was a single sentence, typed neatly on a piece of thick cardstock. You think this is over. But it has only just begun. A cold shiver ran through me. The words echoed in the room, bouncing off the walls, mixing with the remnants of the storm outside. I spun around, looking for Sophia, but she was gone. The room was empty. The pendant on the vanity glimmered faintly, a lone witness to my fear and uncertainty. I sank to my knees, clutching the envelope. My reflection in the mirror stared back, calm and composed, Elena's eyes meeting mine, unwavering. But beneath that calm, a question lingered. Who sent this? And what did it mean for the choice I had just made? The silence of the room was deafening, broken only by the faint drip of water from the window. My mind raced, each thought spiraling into another, each fear multiplying. Could I trust the world outside? Could I trust Sophia? Could I trust myself? I heard the softest sound, a whisper, almost too faint to notice. The test isn't over, Elena. I spun toward the mirror. No one was there. Only my reflection. My reflection that now seemed to hold secrets I hadn't fully discovered. And in that moment, I realized. My journey wasn't finished. It had only changed shape. The lines between choice, control, and identity had blurred, and the true challenge lay ahead. Outside, the city continued, indifferent. Inside, I sat, trembling, staring at the pendant, the envelope, and the mirror, knowing that whatever came next, it would demand everything from me. And for the first time, I understood the terrifying truth. Some transformations aren't temporary. Some doors, once opened, cannot be closed. I took a shaky breath. The envelope in my hands. The mirror reflecting my new self. And a world outside that I could no longer fully predict. The story wasn't over. It had only begun.